chapter, we're going to be talking about ratios and proportions. This is a very useful skill set to have. And it's probably, out of everything that you will probably see in your mathematics career, this is the one thing that probably gets used in everyday life on the most regular basis. Doesn't matter what you do, from cooking in the kitchen to making paint, to paint your house or whatever. This is actually one of the most commonly used forms of mathematics, is working with proportions and ratios. Anyway, like I said, Section 5.1, we're just going to be introducing ratios and what we call rates. And so what is a ratio? It's basically a comparison of two quantities using division. It's comparing two numbers. So there's a couple of ways I could say this, like I'm comparing this as 3 to 4. This is also 3 to 4, 3 to 4. We can read this as 3/4. We could read this as 3 per 4. All these different things, but all of these are using division, and it's literally all the same thing. By the way, this symbol right here, this colon, especially when you get into later mathematics, probably pre-calc and stuff like that, that's a symbol that you can use to denote division, and just keep that in mind. All right, so ratio compares two numbers. A rate is a ratio of two quantities with different units. So I'm still comparing numbers, but now I got a unit. 60 miles per 2 hours, 60 miles to 2 hours, 60 miles to 2 hours. It's just comparing two numbers with units. All right, that's all that is. A unit rate is basically a rate with a denominator of 1. So 30 miles per to 1 hour, same thing as you can see all the way here. Most of the time when we write a unit rate and we say it, you can write it as 30 miles to 1 hour, but most of the time you're used to hearing this as per, 1.99 per pound, or 60 miles per hour, and such forth and so on. Those are unit rates. One thing is worth blah, blah, blah. So that's what a unit rate is. It's something with the denominator of 1. Nothing too complicated on that. So let's just go ahead and do this. It says write the ratio as a fraction in simplest form. This says 8 to 14. So really all I'm doing is going to say 8 to 14. And now I can simplify. Well, we can do this a couple of different ways. We could do this in our head, and that one's fairly easy enough to do. I can simplify this by 2. That would become 4/7. So this simplified as a fraction is 4/7. And if you don't believe me, we can do that in our calculator. We could say 8 ABC 14, and then we can use this button right here, second ABC, and it will reduce it for us 4/7. All right. Same concept here. It's going 36 to 12. So this part right here is my numerator. This part right here is my denominator. Put it in my calculator. 36 divided by 12 makes my life really easy. And I can simplify this as 3. Want to change that into a fraction? Absolutely. We can write it as 3/1. It won't show me on this, but it simplifies to 3/1. All right, or 3 even, to be more specific, to 1 odd. Okay, now we can do the same thing with this one. 42 vanilla to 48 chocolate, and we can reduce that. We can use our calculator. 42 ABC 48, simplify, and we get 7 to 8. 7 vanilla to 8 chocolate. Okay. Now, finding the unit rate is really, really simple. One, let's just go with it. It says it's $2.50 for an ounce. So what we're going to do is we're going to literally write it like this. We know that it's going to be $2.50 per 4, or at 5 ounces. Okay, 5 ounces. Now, what I want to do is just simplify this, and the easiest way for me to do it is literally go 2.5 divided by 50, and, not 50, but 5. And what I get is 0.5. So this would give me 0.5, as in money, so 50 cents over 1 ounce. It literally just divide, okay? And it changes it to a unit rate. That means for every ounce of whatever this is I'm buying, I have to pay 50 cents. And we can rewrite it again as saying as 50 cents per ounce, okay? And it's the same thing on this one. I'm going to do 15 degrees per 2 hours. And I want to simplify this, and I'm just going to go 15 divided by 2. I get 7.5. So that's really saying 7.5 degrees in 1 hour. Or we can say 7.5 degrees per hour. That's my unit rate. Okay, let's do the next one. I'm going to do 183 miles per 3 hours. I'm just going to simply divide it, 183 divided by 3, and it simplifies this to my unit rate as 61 hours for 1 hour. Or we could simply say 61 hours. Oh, not hours, miles. My bad. Sorry. Per 1 hour. Or what you're more used to, 61 miles per hour. And that's really all a unit rate is basically you know the ratio, simply divide it, and you've got your unit rate. It's pretty much straightforward, nothing overly complicated. This one's asking you to find the unit rate using the ratio table. So it's wanting to know pounds per box. We know that this is a ratio table, so we don't really have to work too much, but let's do pounds per box. So just right off the bat, I can say 30 pounds per 1 box, and guess what? That is my unit rate. So it's 30, I'm gonna use the hashtag 30 pounds per box. Let's do this one. Well, because it's a ratio, we can we know it's a ratio because of what the question states, we can just simply rewrite it. It's cost per notebook. So I'm just going to pick one of these at random. It doesn't really matter which one I use. Let's use this one. We know that it's going to be $28.35 per 15 notebooks. Okay. Well, I want to find the unit rate and the cost of 1 notebook, so I'm going to just go 28.35 divided by 15, and I get that it's $1.89 for 1 notebook. Or we can rewrite it one more time, $1.89 per notebook. And we can kind of prove that because if our number is correct, we can take the $1.89 and multiply it by 5, and we should get this exact same cost. So times 5, same thing, okay? All right, number 9, it says you create 15 centerpieces for a party in 5 hours. What is the unit rate? So I know that I got 15 centerpieces, okay? And that was done in 5 hours. So my unit rate, well, I simply divide again. 15 divided by 5, which you should be able to do in your head, is 3. So that would be 3 centerpieces for 1 hour. Or 3 centerpieces per hour. All right? Then I ask you this. How long would it take you to make 42 centerpieces? Well, you know that you can make 3 per hour, so let's do a little something here. I can find, if I need to make 42, I can divide that by my unit rate, all right? And that's going to tell me how many hours it's going to take. 42 divided by 3 gives me 14 hours. How do I know this? Well, it's 3 centerpieces per hour, and if I'm right, I did 14 hours at 3 per hour, multiply it out, it should give me 42 centerpieces. And that's pretty much it. All right, let's do a couple more. This is where it gets a little bit slightly more difficult, but don't stress too much. It says the graph shows the speed of a subway car. Find the speed in miles per minute. So I need to know my miles over my minute. So I'm basically finding the speed. Another way of saying it is I'm trying to find my unit rate. Well, it doesn't really matter what I have, except I do need to, which one of these points I use, I just need to know what goes where. So if we look across this is what we call our x-axis, as you already know, and this is our y-axis. According to this, our x-axis is in time. So this point right here represents my time. So I'm going to use this point right here, this ordered pair. So this would be 1.5. Let's see, my time is in minutes. So this would be 3 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to put that there. And then my y is 1.5. All right, according to this, that's my x, that's my y, and that would be my miles. So now that I have that, let's just go ahead and plug it in. I know 1.5 can be written as 1.5, and I'm going to divide that by 3, and that gives me 0.5 miles per 1 minute. Or I can rewrite it as saying 0.5 miles per minute. Okay, and if you don't believe me, we can do the same thing with the other one just to kind of show that it's literally going to be the same thing. I know that my miles happens to be, in this particular case, is 1/4, so 1/4, and my minutes is 1/2. And when I can plug that in my calculator, I should know that 1/4 is written as 0.25. I also should know that 1/2 can be written as 0.5. Plug that in, and I get the same exact answer, 0.5 miles per 1 minute. Okay? So my speed is 0.5 mile per minute. Lastly, this one gets a little bit more trickier because there is an extra step. So I'm going to read this one with you and go a little bit slower than I have on the rest of them. And as always, you know how to rewind if you get stuck on something. But look at this one. It says you mix 1/2 cup of yellow paint for 3/4 cups of blue paint to make 15 cups of green paint. Ugh. How much yellow paint and blue paint did you use? Well, here's the thing. You have some yellow paint, and you are going to mix it with some blue paint, and that's going to give you some green paint. But the thing is, you know how much you're going to mix here, 1/2 cup. You know how much you're going to mix here, 3/4 cup. But just figuring out what does this equal to? If I mix 1/2 cup of yellow and 3/4 cups of blue, how many cups of green do I actually have? Well, when I add it up, let's do it. I can say 1 ABC plus 3 ABC4 gives me 1 1/4. Gives me 1 1/4 cup. All right. So I just found out how many cups of green I make by using this recipe. But the problem is I don't want 1 1/4 cup. I need 15 cups. So the best thing for me to do is to do two things. I want to find the unit rate of yellow to green. And then I want to find the unit rate of blue to green. And what this is going to do is going to tell us how much 1 cup of green paint and how much yellow is inside of it and how much red is inside it. So what do I know? I know that it takes 1/2 cup of yellow to make 1 1/4 cup of green. And I can find a unit rate with this. I could say 0.5 divide by 1.25, which we know is 1/2 divided by 1 1/4. And I get that my unit rate for yellow is 0.4 yellow for 1 cup of green. All right. Now, here's the thing. Do I want 1 cup? So what I've done is I found that 0.4 cups of yellow, I'm kind of running out of room, per 1 green. 1 cup of green. Sorry about running out of room. Now, this is actually where I'm going to stop you. All right, I'm not going to give you the rest of it. So I have given you the unit rate of how many cups of yellow does it make to make 1 cup of green. I want to see if you can figure out on your own how many cups of yellow would make 15 green. There's a couple ways that we can do this, but I'm going to give that to you kind of as a little bit of a challenge problem. All right, now, the same thing can be done over here in blue. I want to find my unit rate of blue to green, which would be 3/4 blue to 1 1/4 green. And I can find that unit rate by saying 3/4 divided by 1 1/4 gives me 0.6. And this is my unit rate of blue to green. And I'm running out of room, so just forgive me. Okay, blue to green. Now that I know this, I'm leaving this alone to you. You know 2 things. One, it takes 0.4 cups of yellow to make 1 cup of green, and it also makes 0.6 cups of blue to make 1 cup of green. How many cups of each color do you need to make 15 cups of green? And I'm leaving this to you as your challenge problem. I know that this might be difficult. Please come find me if you need me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.